All right, welcome back, everybody. We're talking about notes. It's always a good idea to read the title, Notes, Equations with Fraction Answers. Okay, fraction answers, that's a big one for me. We haven't seen fraction answers before. That's what's going to be new. If you read what it says, same steps, just fraction answers. Same steps tells me not a whole lot different. And if the only thing that's new is our answers, that's not even really a step. Like that's the finish of the problem, not really one of the steps of the problem. So let's see it happen. Question number 1. Is there anything here that scares you at all? I hope not. This looks like a normal question. We've solved 150 of these this year so far. We're going to move our x's to the other side. Apologies if maybe I'm getting a little bit of a fast start, but we've done these questions over and over and over again. 6 minus 6 is 0. 4 minus 6 is, let's get back to black here, negative 2x minus 7 equals negative 12. Again, nothing weird here. We've seen this before, so let's just add 7 to both sides. Make sure you're using opposites. Make sure you're putting things right out, stacked up nicely. Negative 2x equals negative 5. And probably right about now, you're starting to think, wait a second, this is gross. Wait a second, this is not really working, okay? The final step of our question is always to divide by negative 2, and hopefully you're thinking, I don't like this, negative 5 on top of negative 2, ew, okay? If we go to DESMOS, if we type it in, let me zoom in a little bit so we can see, fraction, negative 5 on top of negative 2. Make sure you're pressing that question mark button, that divide button, question mark, negative 5 on top of negative 2. We're getting a decimal 2.5. Now, the notes say fraction answers. So that's a good idea that we're not going to be using decimals. One of the only things I need to tell you all day is that when it comes to Algebra 1, decimals bad. Okay? Like, honestly, we're not accepting decimal answers almost ever. Okay? For months. We are not talking about decimals. You can't even be one of these like quirky kids like, I just like decimals better. Like, that's not how it works. Alright? Fractions, that's what it's going to be. Okay? So, if I'm here on DESMOS and I've got negative 5 divided by negative 2 and it is a decimal, how do I turn this decimal into a fraction?
Rounded.
No. Not rounding, no decimals, no rounding. In fact, rounding is our worst enemy in Algebra 1. Never, ever, ever, ever round, unless it is specifically said. What we're going to do, please pay attention. This is literally the only thing I have to teach you all day. There is a button right here on the outside of DESMOS. There is a button right here on the outside of DESMOS. And when you press this, it will turn your answer into a fraction. So, once we press that, it tells us the fraction. Okay.
Smarter.
Okay. All right. Yes, ma'am. All right, so we have, type it in, we get a decimal. Does everybody see this blue button on the side? Everybody got this button here. Click, 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 click. We're always going for fraction answers. So 5 divided by 2, the answer, the best way to put it, x equals 5 divided by 2. There you go. All right, sorry for the big interruption. Let's keep going. Question number 2. line down the middle. There shouldn't be anything that scares us. We should be able to handle every single one of these questions until the very, very end. I've got 3 parentheses. I'm going to need to do distributing. So I'm going to draw my arrows there. That's a little hard to see because of all of our words. So let me use a nice big orange marker. We're doing distributing, and distributing is multiplying. Does anybody know what our next line would be on the left? 3 times 4 is 12x. 3 times negative 1, negative 3 equals, what do we do with this negative 8x minus 15? We're just going to bring it down. Nothing to do yet. Now that we're this far, again, hopefully we're feeling pretty confident. Hopefully you're taking these notes. We're going to add 8x, add 8x. Adding 8x to move it to the other side is going to be 20x minus 3 equals negative 15. The next step is to add 3, right? Again, we've done this over 100 times. Hopefully it's not stressing you out. Hopefully it feels nice and easy. 20x equals negative 12. And how do we finish every question? Divide. But when we do divide, we're looking at something a little bit ugly. We're looking at something a little bit gross. Negative 12 over 20. Yuck. Desmos. Fraction. Negative 12 on top of 20. I get a decimal. Remember, decimals are bad. How do we turn this decimal into a fraction? Click the button on the side. And that is always your answer. That's it. Once you get this gray box of a fraction, that is your answer. Desmos will simplify all fractions for you. And so, final answer, x equals, what does it say? Negative 3 on top of 5. Negative 3 on top of 5. Any questions on number 1 or 2? No. All right, I have one really quick point that I want to make. When we have fractions, okay, and when we have negative fractions in particular, okay, negative fractions. Let's say we have something like, 7 over 3, 7 over 3, 7 over 3. Okay? Negative fractions. Sometimes it looks like this, sometimes it looks like this, sometimes it looks like this. Okay? Of these 3, one of them is bad. Which one of these 3 is not okay? Correct. And I like that you went a little fancy with the math vocab. Okay? No negative denominators. If you want to write it like this, with the negative all the way out front, that is good. If you want to put that negative up with the 3, that's okay. If you want to put the negative on the bottom, too bad, that's gross, we don't like that. Okay? So, just want to kind of clarify that a little bit. Negative on top, negative out front, they mean the same thing. Negative on bottom, disgusting. We don't like negatives on bottoms. All right, moving on. We got 2 questions left. We're going to go quickly. These questions have fractions. We need to eliminate fractions. For question number 3, what are we going to do to eliminate fractions? We did it on the quiz on Friday. Question number 3. I see that we have 4 and 4. So what's the strategy? I heard somebody say multiply, and they were correct. But multiply by what? 4. And what are we going to multiply by 4? everything. We're going to multiply by 4. 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 Every term gets the 4. When we multiply by 4, it's going to set up some battles, some ninja versus alien type stuff, some soldiers versus opponents type stuff. This first person here, this first term, there's a battle going on. The 4 and the 4 both eliminate. Please cross them out. Why not? It's the most fun part of the whole thing, right? Shing, shing, cross them out. Okay? They're gone. Second term, are we going to cross the 4 out? No. Third term, we're going to cross the 4 out? Yes. Shing, shing. Cross them out. Get rid of the top and the bottom. If you have a multiplied by 4 and you have a divided by 4, those are opposites. What about the last term? No, he's going to stick around. So our next line is going to be, the 4's are gone, 6x. Negative 28 equals, nice job, negative 3x. Don't forget that there's a negative 3x. And finish with plus 12. Nice job, because 4 times 3 makes 12. Okay, from here, easy. We've done this over and over and over and over again. We've done this many, many times. We got it. Let's add 3x to both sides, plus 3x, plus 3x. 6 plus 3 is 9, minus 28 equals 12. Let's add 28 to both sides. Again, I don't know if this is going a little bit too fast, but we have done so many of these questions. We've seen this process over and over and over again. And now we're done. Time to divide, time to finish. And hopefully you're thinking, ew, hold on a second, kind of gross. Divided by 9. Desmos. Fraction. 40 divided by 9. What do we get? A decimal. How do we turn this decimal to a fraction? Hit the button. Over here on Desmos, this button. And once you press that button, this is guaranteed to be the answer. No more thinking, no more sweating. You just go for it. 40 over 9. So, final answer, x equals 40 over 9. Now, the one thing that I'll say about this material, it's not actually harder, okay? This question could have been on the quiz. The only difference is the very, very, very final product. However, the issue that students have is that because you now have decimal answers, which we turn into fractions, it makes you a lot more nervous that your answers are wrong, okay? 40 over 9, it doesn't look good. It's right, but it just doesn't make me feel good, okay? And that kind of feeling of nervousness can be really annoying for students. So take your time, and this is a time where you have to be careful so that you can have confidence. 40 over 9, that's right. Last question here, we're going quickly. I see that we have 2 different denominators, 2 different bottoms. We have a 3, we have a 5. What are we going to do with the 3 and the 5? Multiply them. 3 times 5 equals 15. And so we're going to use 15 as our super soldier to come in times 15 times 15 times 15. This is a great review of last week. This is a great review of that quiz we took on Friday. And once we multiply everything by 15, pause for a second. Are we going to cross off a 15 and a 3? No. Is it a fair matchup of 15 versus a 3? No. Okay. So now this question is going to require a lot of Desmos. On to Desmos. 15 times 1 is obviously 15. That's easy. 15 times 1 is 15. Now what about this next one? Into Desmos, 15 times divide. Please stop talking, you guys. We're getting there. 15 times divide. We've got negative 2 over 3. And so we've got negative 10. All right. Negative 10x. Somebody in class help me out. What would the next term be? We're going to type 15 times divide. Top number is 3, bottom number is 5. Anybody got it?
9.
Nice job. 15 times 3 over 5 is 9. And so we're going to have 9x. And what's 15 times 2?
30.
30. You guys got that. Okay, now we've done this hundreds of times. Here we go. Minus 9x minus 9x. Move your letters left. 15 minus 19x equals, I don't really want to, just going to write like this. Kind of ugly, but it is what it is. What are we going to move next? I'm going to move to 15 next. Minus 15 minus 15. Negative 19x equals 15. Again, ew. Looks kind of gross. How do we finish every question? With divide. And when we divide by negative 19, first of all, let's not forget the negatives. Let's not forget the negatives. Okay? When we go to type this in Desmos, I just told you that negatives on the bottom are bad. Okay? A negative in the bottom, final answer is bad. For now, we can leave it in the bottom. Fraction 15 over negative 19. Yuck. Hit the fraction. And you can tell Desmos took the negative in the bottom and Desmos put it out front. Okay? So, you're typing it exactly how it looks and just write this answer down. X equals negative fraction 15 over 19. Any questions on that one? All right, what we've learned today is type it in Desmos. Like, that's what we learned. Get an answer, ew, type it in, done. Okay? Make sure you're still being careful. Make sure that you're multiplying by denominators. If you have the same denominator, make sure you're making this super soldier type thing. If you have different denominators, make sure if it's an easy question, just solve it carefully because your confidence is going to be a little bit low for this stuff. That's it.